I think that for many of us, the idea is that democracy begins and ends at the ballot box. That you vote once in 5 years for the union government and you vote for your local governments, and that's what your responsibilities are in the democratic sense as a citizen. But there are other things that we can do and are required to do if democracy in India is to become deeper, if it is to become richer, and if it's to become more inclusive, which at the moment it's not. My view is that one part of that is to use our rights under Article 19 and to use the freedom of expression, to use the right to peaceful assembly, and the right to congregate, the right to gather, what is called freedom of association, and to use that space to be able to push back against laws, against policies formally in a way that we are not doing at the moment. And the book refers to how this can be done. I think we are living through very sad times, but that doesn't mean that we need to always be morose. I like Twitter because it's an entertaining space and I use it primarily to entertain myself. But it is also a space which can be used for the things I spoke about, that we can congregate better, more efficiently on social media because it offers us tools in a way that was not possible 15 or 20 years ago. And I think that given the fact that that tool is available to us, I hope more of us use it, more of us seek out and speak to leaders, gather more followers, and make sure that our voice is louder. I think it's true that you do tend to get targeted if you speak up, particularly if you come from some communities. I think some of us are more fortunate that we are able to get away by saying things that other Indians can't say, particularly minorities, especially Muslims. It would be wrong for me to tell them what to do. But I would certainly tell those who are not in a vulnerable position to use their voice, to speak up, and to understand that we are going through a period, A, which is difficult in India's history, is dangerous for India, and B, we are going through a period where they have a larger voice than their fathers and mothers did before them because of their access to social media. They can access anybody in the world and have more power in the communication sense than the US president did 50 years ago. They should use it. I think we shouldn't let go of the past merely because it happened, 20 years ago. Particularly in a country which wants to take action through the government on something that happened 4 centuries ago. If I find it offensive that somebody built a mosque somewhere in the 16th century, I should certainly find it really offensive that somebody acted in a particular way 20 years ago. So to my mind, the idea that this is old and so on doesn't really work. This is in our lifetime. The other aspect is that I think that the citizen and the voter has more agency than a subject in a kingdom. We don't live in a kingdom. We might think it is king-like in many ways, the style of functioning and the nature of the state, but it's not. For that reason, I think it's perfectly valid to question and to challenge things that are done by the government, by this individual, that one does not agree with. I think that those people who are in civil society tend to do things because that's who they are. It's not really a profession. It's not the same thing as somebody who might not say certain things because they are fearful of their job. This is our work. If we don't do this, there's nothing else we want to do. And forget me, I'm saying that there are people who have paid very high prices paid a very high price for what it is that they've done. People like Sudha Bharadwaj, Umar Khalid, Sharjeel Imam. They should be respected for what it is that they have continued to stand for. It would be quite easy for them to, through their lawyer or through their families, say things that reject what it was that they said that got them into trouble in the first place. They've chosen not to do that. I think that should be respected. Future is good and it's going to get better. There is no question that the history of humanity shows that things get better in the long arc. If you consider where we were 150 years ago, large parts of the world were under colonial rule. Slavery was legal in the United States in the 1860s. Women didn't have the right to vote anywhere. Nobody had the right to vote anywhere in the world for the most part. That was that was the state of the world. From there, we moved on in terms of rights of women over their own bodies, the right of people to vote, the way that the world views the death penalty, torture. On everything, we've made meaningful gains, and I don't think we should lose hope or feel that this will reverse itself, because the human race always moves forward with positivity, and the world will become a better place, including in our country. There is a structural problem in the sense that the union government is the largest advertiser in South Asia, and it gives money discretionarily to who it wants. So that will continue to be the case. There will also continue to be the case where licenses are denied to those people that the government doesn't like, such as Raghav Bell. We should try and see what are the media sources we access and can support that are independent and are working on the problems that we think are important. I think once you are able to answer that question, there are small organizations such as yours, the Federal, that one can support in many ways and make sure that the voice of independent journalism, however small it is, continues to stay alive and to speak.